reading a message here from Annie. Dear Mr. Bruce, you are the funniest teacher ever. Please keep up the hilarious jokes. Also, it would be great if you could give us a joke about Persephone. Well, sure, Annie, I'd love to do that for you. And thank you for the compliment, by the way. All right, it goes like this. Why is Persephone, she's the goddess of the underworld, who's kidnapped by Hades, in case you don't know the story, why was Persephone considered the Hannah Montana of Greek mythology? Because she had the best of both worlds. Oh man, that one's good. That one's one of my better ones. All right, so keep those requests coming, and I'll be happy to provide jokes on any topic you like. Okay, we have to finish our study of chapter 13. Um, we're going over in the last video a Holly, nobody's here. Nobody's here. You're fine. No, Holly, you're ruining class. Please stop. Thank you. We need to go over the third and final way that the ancient Greeks dealt with the problem of overpopulation. And so this third technique they used was colonization. So what is colonization? So colonization is a form of migration, right? It's when you leave your home and you travel to a new place, right? But unlike immigration, in which a migrant moves from one country to another, for example, colonization is a type of migration in which a migrant moves from one country to either a brand new land that isn't occupied and makes it part of their original country, or migration through colonization can happen when a migrant leaves his original country, goes to his new country, and makes that new country part of his old country, right? So an example of this would be if I am from Athens and I migrate to a island in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea that nobody lives on, and I live there and I'm still loyal to Athens, I would have colonized that island. I would have made it part of Athens. Maybe it's not officially part of Athens, but because I now live on this island and I consider myself Athenian and nobody else is there, that is now an Athenian colony. It has been colonized. Or likewise, maybe I leave Sparta and I migrate to the east coast of Asia Minor. So this is where like modern day Turkey is, right? Or I'm sorry, the west coast of Asia Minor. What am I saying? So this is modern day Turkey, right? And there's other people there who see themselves as part of the Persian Empire, for example. They don't see themselves as part of Greece at all. They don't see themselves as part of Sparta at all. They see themselves as part of the Persian Empire. Well, if I and a large group of migrants from Sparta move to that area and we just kind of take it over, right? Maybe we intimidate the people who live there. Maybe they move away when we get there because they don't like us, right? Maybe we force them to be subject to us and we're still loyal to Sparta. Well, in that case, we have colonized that new territory and made it part of Sparta. Right? So colonization is migration when you're still loyal or still attached to your original country or city-state. Right? So colonization is the third thing that the ancient Greeks do to solve their overpopulation problem. So around the 700s BC, there's a lack of resources in Greece. Greece is overpopulated. Some of the city-states have practiced conquest, others are relying on commerce, but there's still not enough land and resources. Hunger becomes a really big problem. People are starting to deal with starvation. And so thousands of Greeks um, decide, you know what, we're not going to survive for very long if we stay here. We are going to set out on a dangerous sea voyage to try to find a new place to live. But we're still going to consider ourselves Greek. We're still going to consider ourselves Athenians or Spartans or whatever city state they're from. Um, and so over the next 200 years, uh, there are hundreds of Greek colonies all across the Mediterranean Sea. Many of these colonies are islands. Some of these colonies are on the shores of other parts of the Asian or European or African continent. Um, but these become Greek settlements that are called colonies. Right? So one way that you would remain loyal to your home city state is by doing trade with it. It says the colonists often traded with their home colonies. That's a typo. It's supposed to say the colonists often traded with their home city states. So sorry about that if that was confusing. Right, so you would trade with your home city state. That way you would remain attached to it. You would remain loyal to it. You would bring your culture over to the new place that you live, so you continue to practice the same religion and speak the same language, dress the same way. Your government would function the same way. So a lot of these colonies do really, really well. And this is largely because they maintain these attachments to their city states, to their homes. A lot of these colonies did so well, in fact, that they became their own new Greek city state. Right? So colonization and commerce together make the merchant class of Greeks very, very wealthy and very, very powerful. Now remember, the merchant class of Greeks is not the first class. It's not the second class. Right? It's the third class. The merchant class is mostly metics and foreigners, people who don't get to have Greek citizenship and don't own land, right? So metics and foreigners through colonization and commerce become very powerful if they are merchants and businessmen, right? And what ends up happening is as their wealth and power grows, even though they're not citizens, even though they don't own land, some get the opportunity to participate in politics by voting or running for office even. Another consequence of colonization, in addition to making the merchant class more powerful, is it results in a phenomenon called cultural borrowing or cultural exchange. So this happens when you bring your Greek culture to the place that you are colonizing. A bird just flew like 6 inches over my head. That kind of freaked me out. So if I'm from Athens and I'm going to colonize part of North Africa and try to make that connected, an Athenian colony, I'm going to bring my religion, so my belief in the Greek gods and goddesses. I'm going to bring my politics. So I'm going to have like a form of democracy in this new place where I'm settling. I'm going to bring social structures there. So I'm going to have like the social classes, which are unique to Greece. Remember, because farmers are the second highest social class because they own land, right? I'm going to make that part of my new Greek colony in North Africa. Right? So this is called cultural borrowing or cultural exchange. It's when you trade, quote unquote, you trade your culture with the place that you settle. All right, that is it for chapter 13. The next video is going to be about your chapter 13 quiz, which will be similar to what we've done before. If there are changes in in its structure or how it's going to work, I'll be sure to let you know. So hopefully this is helpful to you. All right.